podcasts have phones, right? Good. Because what we've got today, and he's shaking his head right now, what we've got today is Echo, the biggest Diablo Immortal YouTuber, and we're going to be talking shop with him about the viability of Diablo Immortal for content creators from a streaming standpoint and from a YouTube standpoint. Is this a game that is going to mark a new beginning for mobile gaming, where big AAA titles by big companies like Blizzard are going to break into the market, are going to maybe revolutionize mobile gaming, have that true quote unquote, AAA gaming experience on mobile? I know that Echo is really looking forward to that, but is that actually going to happen, or is this going to be a Blizzard fail? All in this episode, fingers crossed, right? All in this episode of the Digital Drop Podcast. Let's pay the bills.
This podcast is sponsored by Restream. Why live stream to one platform when you can simultaneously live stream to every platform to discover new audiences faster using Restream.io?
So we're going to hit this on 3 different angles today. We're going to start by talking about the viability of Diablo Immortal itself. We're going to talk about how Echo Gaming is actually capitalizing on the pre-launch. And we're going to talk about just mobile gaming in general and how this kind of fits into the general wave of mobile gaming that we've talked about that's going to be hitting soon. So I want to start on this, Echo. This is kind of a new territory for the franchise and Blizzard in general going mobile. So what do you think this game has to accomplish for Blizzard to actually consider it successful?
I mean, this is their first stab at an exclusive mobile game. This is the first time that they're diving into mobile. They've said that they're looking to bring all of their titles to mobile. So obviously, a lot of the reason why we're waiting the time that we're waiting and why everything is kind of taking a lot longer than expected is because they want to hit a home run with Diablo Immortal to prove to everyone, to investors and all of that, that Diablo Immortal is just the starting point for everything else that they're trying to bring to mobile. What do they need to do to be successful? They need to deliver an amazing game, which I think they're on track of doing. They need to make sure that promotion is on point and that it's not just a hidden awesome mobile game like many are. And they need to have a community supporting what they're doing, and we need to convert all of these people that are haters of Diablo Immortal because they were waiting for Diablo 4 into people that believe in the game and can even enjoy it for 10-minute segments throughout the day, even though they're maybe primarily a console gamer or a PC gamer.
I got to ask a question then. Obviously, Diablo Immortal is shrouded in this bad marketing moment at a previous BlizzCon, right? Where don't you guys have phones, and is this a bad April Fool's joke and all of that stuff? We don't need to rehash that today. But it started off on a very bad foot for mobile gaming. And this kind of set the tone for mobile gaming, I think, for the entire year after that. So you just mentioned a moment ago, convincing people, that this is a good game, it's worth their time, it's not going to be predatory, stuff like that. What kind of reaction have you had from viewers and from your fellow content creator friends when you're talking about covering a game that has been so controversial as Diablo Immortal? Do you feel like that's been holding back your ability to grow your channel and be able to acquire audience and build a healthy community for Diablo Immortal?
Great question. And the main thing holding my channel back from growing is that there's no game right now. So we don't have people that are actively searching for stuff. And I'm actually really happy with where my channel is right now, not having it live. The game isn't live. But the community, I've seen a massive shift over the past year. Initially with content, you'd have all the PC people and the people that didn't like the announcement coming in saying this game is trash, it's not going to be good. And over time, we've been able to build a community here on YouTube, show what's going on, talk about some ideas, and it's definitely shifting. Then we just got out of the technical alpha just 2 weeks ago, and there's a massive shift. I've spoken to content creators that their career is Diablo 3 streaming and content, and they love Diablo Immortal, and they plan on doing Diablo Immortal in place of Diablo 3 while they're waiting for Diablo 4 to come out. So as far as the community, I don't have any question that it's going to turn people's minds from this game is going to be trashed, this game is good, because it is a great game. I've played so many games in this genre on mobile, and this is by far the leader in the class. You can't deny that. Now, if you don't like Diablo stuff, then you may not like Diablo Immortal, but it's basically Diablo 3 with more to do and better, and it's going to be on mobile. It's just, another gaming experience for people that may not be mobile gamers.
Perrin, talk to us about these trends you just pulled up on the screen, because we like to look at the numbers. How are the numbers looking on Diablo Immortal as a game? Is it popular? Can you get real audience off of this? What's the deal, man?
So we're taking a look at search interest on YouTube search worldwide for the past 12 months. And you can see a spike here that I've already kind of labeled where I'm assuming this was the tech alpha from December 20th to the 26th. And we do see a nice spike and then it coming back down. But other than that, it's been relatively flat. So I wouldn't say that there's a ton of search interest. And if we were to compare it to something similar, like let's just do Genshin Impact. I think we were pulling this up pre-stream to take a look. It's it's just nowhere really on the radar at all. But to a degree, that's kind of expected. That's kind of expected with a trend this early on, is that you're not going to see a huge increase in search necessarily until marketing for the game starts ramping up. So I guess it's the question for you, Echo, like what type of marketing events have you been able to leverage from Blizzard, including the technical alpha? And have you seen, you just talked about seeing some interest increase. Are you expecting there to be more kind of marketing events as they lead up to launch that you can use as a content creator?
Yeah, good question. I haven't heard anything about marketing type stuff. The biggest marketing they've done so far is really bringing in a bunch of us creators to see the game, have these discussions with them, and to do what we want with that. There have been a couple of massive creators that were in this technical alpha that never actually put out a video on it. They just decided that they wanted to try it and maybe they'll do something in the future, but they didn't put out content on it right now. And then you have people like me and like Scrappy Academy, who we got this and we wanted to put out as much content as possible because we're invested in it. But as far as, you know, campaigns, advertising, stuff like that, nothing yet, and I haven't heard any word of it. I mean, obviously I'm hoping that they push this as much as they can to get the word out and so everyone knows about Diablo Immortal, so then they can try it out and see whether they like it or not. But I think the technical alpha was really just everyone at Blizzard dipping their toe in and saying, okay, the announcement was awful. Everyone's so angry about how long this is taking. Let's see if they like what they have in front of them right now. Let's see if they like it. And at the end of the day, they were happy at the end of the technical alpha. Yeah, there's a few things that we didn't love about the game that we need to work on, but they're really happy with how the response came from the community and from us content creators. And I mean, they really cared about what we had to say, filling out surveys, getting on phone calls, really getting our feedback. And if you had an issue with one small part of the game, they wanted to know every reason why, how they can make it better, what's wrong here, why don't you understand it? They really seem like they're trying to make a perfect game, or as perfect a game as possible.
I have to bring it up. I mean, I'm concerned just by the numbers. When we looked at the Google Trends a moment ago, there's barely any interest in Diablo Immortal right now. And there was a teeny tiny little spike there with the technical alpha. And this reminds me a lot of a previous Blizzard game, Heroes of the Storm, that we created the #1 destination for it, and we worked with that team on it. And they did a similar technical alpha strategy where they were very careful about the release of the game. They wanted to make sure they got creator feedback. And then when they actually launched the game, it didn't really have that much buzz. And they tried for a while to get buzz up over time, and they just were unable to do it because Blizzard didn't have a good pre-launch hype campaign. And so if you don't have pre-launch hype for a game, as we saw with Cyberpunk 2077, for example, then it's really difficult to get people excited when the game actually launches, unless it's just the freshest and best freaking game of all time. Something like Apex Legends and how that just dropped and hit the market. So I think that because there's no pre-launch hype campaign, which is the only way Blizzard has ever successfully marketed games, they're not doing the only strategy they've ever done that is successful for marketing for games. They're doing the strategy that they've done that is unsuccessful for marketing games right now. They've never been successful with this type of strategy. So that is a huge red flag for me for Diablo Immortal. And I'm just wondering, is this game going to be able to break outside of the mold? Is it going to become another dud like Heroes of the Storm, where they don't hype the game pre-launch and then they just hope it works out later? For you as a content creator, are you concerned about that? Are you going to just stay the course? What are your thoughts on those kind of marketing facts? Because the bottom line is, if the marketing dollars aren't there, and if the interest isn't there, no matter how good of a YouTuber you are, Echo, there just isn't interest in the market to grow your channel and to make it worth your time. So how do you navigate that? How do you navigate that? What is your take on that? Do you think I'm being too cold when it comes to how I'm analyzing the potential success and popularity of this game?
You're not too cold. I know you, AWOL, and you are just straightforward and you bring it. And am I worried? I'm worried every single day about everything that I do on YouTube, because this is YouTube. You never
It's
know
supposed
what's
to be
gonna
fun.
happen.
It's supposed to be fun.
It's fun, but it's also stressful. But yes, I'm concerned. Yes, I'm going to be staying the course. I truthfully believe that the game is going to do well, and I believe that I can put out content that people are going to want to see. Now, we need to remember, compared to Heroes of the Storm, we're talking about a different platform as well. We're talking about a platform that is much easier and more accessible to people all around the world, with a much larger audience as well. So the cool thing about mobile is you could download the game. You can get this hater that says, I want to try out this crappy Diablo Immortal game. Download the game and then say, oh, this isn't so bad. And maybe they don't delete it. Maybe they start playing it. Where other models, you have to purchase the game, and you may just say that you don't even want to touch it because you have to spend money on it up front. But you basically can try the game for free, and you can continue playing the game for free as long as you want as well, because in my opinion, the game doesn't have any heavy pay-to-win elements, which is another thing that everyone always worries about with mobile games, or with especially action RPGs on mobile as well. But yeah, I'm concerned, but I do believe that Blizzard is, I mean, they're putting the money in the right spots as far as developing the game. Let's hope that they put it where it needs to be for getting the word out there as well.
That makes sense. So let's talk about that for a moment. So microtransactions are a huge concern from the game. You're saying that there's no pay-to-win elements, but based on my research, it looks like you can pay and you can get gameplay benefit and an increased chance to get things like, let's call them generically legendaries. I know that they have other phrases, but basically you have a chance to get high-level items that have a high rarity, and they do have a mechanic where you can dump money into Diablo Immortal. If you don't mind pulling up some gameplay again, Astral, so people can see what this game looks like. There's an opportunity for you to dump money into the game and have a higher kind of gotcha mechanic or a randomization probability of getting hard to acquire items in the game. Not weapons, not gear. They're pushing that in their marketing, but there is a increased probability of getting hard to get stuff in the game with money. So I know you're saying that's not pay to win. So how do you draw the line between being able to pay money to get stuff that's more rare and pay to win? Because those sound very similar to me, Echo.
Yeah, they do sound similar, but they are different, and there's a few reasons why. First of all, we're actually watching right now, or on the screen that I'm seeing, is a legendary. They're going for legendary gems and Elder Rifts, and this is what you can pay for. You can pay for these legendary crests, which you also get organically through the game, but you don't get as much. You could go and dump as much money as you want to the game, get a ton of legendary crests, put them into a legendary rift, and that's going to guarantee you one legendary gem per rift run for each of those legendary crests that you put in. Now,
hit the pause button. Hit the pause button. So did you just say that you pay money to guarantee a legendary? So is that what you just said?
That's what I said, but this is where it comes into not being, in my opinion, not being as pay to win as everyone's like attacking it for. When are you actually competing with other people inside of Diablo Immortal? First of all, there's the entire world that you run around in where you're not going to be battling each other. PvP, so far, we don't know what it's going to look like. And I've put out this, listen, I think Blizzard should pull me onto staff with this idea that I have, but the way that they need to implement
hire
PvP,
this man and pay him a big salary. Absolutely.
I wouldn't mind. But if they can bring a PvP element that strips you of all this gear that you get, and you go in just like you would go into a Fortnite or a Call of Duty, where you go in with your character, you choose the stats you want, and you battle. Whatever you build there doesn't matter. The only place where legendary gems matter are in the leaderboards. Now, what percentage of gamers actually care about the leaderboards? I would say it's going to be the very top people, and we're talking about maybe 2% of people playing this game are going to be fighting for those top leaderboard spots, and that's where people that are going to be spending more on gems are going to have a bit more of an advantage. But again, when you put a gem into a socket, a level 1 gem, your stats are buffed by 25%. As you upgrade through, you get very small incremental gains along the way. It's not like you're getting these massive jumps every time you upgrade your gem. And you could easily outfit your character with legendary gems throughout your whole set, level 1. So you're getting that initial big jump. You're just not able to fine tune those gems through, getting more and more crests. Now, can you get an advantage? Yeah, but it's not going to be massive. And it's really right now, it's only going to be affecting the leaderboards. Again, we're in technical alpha, so things can change with that. We'll have to see.
Nice. I just hope we get the Gemello Hero editor for this. I used to love that thing on Diablo 2. We've talked about this before on the show, like how to actually take advantage of upcoming releases for content. So kind of start from the beginning, which I guess would be BlizzCon 2018. Sorry, AWOL. At what point did you make the decision to actually start covering Diablo Immortal? And in that timeline, when did you start pumping out content?
Yeah, BlizzCon 2018 came and I was stoked. I may have been the only dude sitting in my chair like, yes, this is the future for me, because I always wanted to get into Diablo, but I prefer playing games on mobile devices. So I put out a few test videos on my main channel, my Echo Gaming channel, which is not Diablo focused, and they did all right. You know, people were talking about it. I looked at them like, okay, there's some potential here. I took AWOL's 80-20 strategy and I started messing around with some of that content. And then I realized, you know, I don't think that my channel would do well with exclusively this content or combining it with my Clash of Clans. It's too different. Let me start a new channel. So I started a new channel, and shortly after I got a phone call from Blizzard. It was an amazing day, driving home from work, and they hit me up. They invited me out to BlizzCon. I got to meet everyone there, spend a lot of time with people, and play the game. And I played the game a lot while I was there. And as soon as I played it, I knew that the game was going to be good because it was already good. And that was just in the testing phase, not even the alpha phase. I went back to my hotel room, downloaded every action RPG and MMORPG I could find on mobile, trying to figure out what can I play in the meantime? What can I do to make content while waiting for this game? And I realized that nothing was as good as what I had just experienced downstairs at BlizzCon. So my strategy was, and I've preached this to a few of my friends regarding other games, put content out there before the game is even there. Predictions, what do you think is going to be happening? Just talking about it. And what I'm basically doing, especially with the new channel, is planting a tree, trying to spread some roots so when the game does take off, when it's ready to go, I'm already planted there. YouTube understands that my channel is here to support Diablo Immortal, and hopefully some of those videos will pick up over time, and hopefully when the game launches, when it's actually out, I get a big rush of people that are interested in, and YouTube favors my channel. That's really the strategy, and I saw it working with the alpha. If I look at my videos during the tech alpha time, they started performing better than the ones prior, and now the ones after, because things are slowing down again. Everyone's not searching right now for Diablo Immortal because the game's not here. But when it's here, when it's out, people are going to want to know how to do this. What does this mean? What are these things? And I'm going to have all the videos there prepared for those people.
I'm putting you on the spot. When's the game coming out?
I have no idea. I was on a podcast yesterday for 4 hours on this podcast talking Diablo Immortal, and we predict that there's going to be an announcement at BlizzCon, which is in a month, that they're going to announce a beta date. And my hope that the beta date is going to be June. And then I predict it's going to launch when BlizzCon would typically be, although I don't think there's going to be a BlizzCon 2021 besides BlizzCon Line. So in, say, November-ish. That's complete guesses. We literally are told nothing about it. They're very quiet about what's going to be coming, what's happening in a timeline, because honestly, I don't think they know. There's a lot that's not done yet in Diablo Immortal. They spoke of this is only a portion of the game. And what we saw was already larger and more grand than Diablo 3, but there was only a snippet of what PvP looks like in the game, and that's supposed to be a big element to it. So we have to still see that, and we still have to see two classes that are going to be coming out at launch, which are the Crusader and the Necromancer, which no one has ever yet played. So we wonder how developed are those two classes that were promised at launch.
That makes sense. Oh, go real quick. I wanted to recap what you just said a moment ago so audiences can understand. And Perrin, if you could pull up his channel so we can look at his channel strategy and detail that for everybody. So let me make sure I have this straight, which I do. I coached you on the strategy, but let me make sure I have this straight for audiences. You have your main channel, which I'm going to pull up on the screen right now, which is your Echo Gaming channel. And he's pulling it up on the screen right now, Echo Gaming. And then the main Echo Gaming channel, you have over 250,000 subscribers on this channel. And so you tested Diablo Immortal content on this channel with 20% of your content. And then at some point you decided, you know what, this needs to go on its own channel. So can you tell me about that decision making where you have this big successful main channel and then you decide to break a piece of content off onto its own channel? What goes into that decision? Because that requires you to put on a lot of extra effort, make a lot of extra videos. That's a huge commitment to a new game. Can you talk a little bit about that when it's time to make a second or third channel decision that you made? Because obviously I thought it was the right decision too. I mean, we talked about it extensively, but what goes into that second or third channel decision? And tell me about what went through your brain there, because this is a question we get all the time from content creators that are thinking, how do I expand out of my main game into other games? Tell me about what went through your head.
Yeah, well, first of all, I think it's really hard to take a channel and completely convert it to a completely new game. It's very difficult to do. I notice now with primarily Clash of Clans content on my main channel, if I put out a sponsored video or if I put out a video for another game that I'm trying, initially those videos will do awful. So I have to build them for search. Someone that's really smart about this stuff has taught me about it, and that being AWOL. But I'm building them for search so that they grow over time. The reason that I decided to make a second channel was when this was all happening, I had just gone full-time on YouTube, and my life was based on my main channel. How I support my family was focused on that channel, and I really didn't want to mess around with something that was working with a risk or a chance. And I felt it would probably benefit the YouTube algorithm, and I thought that I had time to build it by creating that second channel. So I thought it was just a smarter move for me. And I mean, I talk to a lot of YouTube creators, and the talk now is not take your channel, turn it into this, take your channel, turn it into that, but start a second channel, start a third channel, all focused on these new things. And this is also how a lot of advertising companies these days are looking at sponsored content. Would you consider starting a new channel for our game type opportunities rather than would you do a sponsored video on your channel for this? Because they realize that channels could be built off of new games rather than trying to just sneak in a sponsored ad inside of a channel that really isn't made for that game.
Makes sense. So let's talk about the money then, which I love to talk about. And obviously you don't have to reveal exact dollar amounts, but you are one of the creators I refer to when I talk about on the show of folks that can make, potentially thousands of dollars additional revenue per month, by doing sponsored content in mobile gaming. It is an incredibly lucrative space for content creators. And can you give people an idea out there of how you can go about getting those sponsorships? How much money is involved? You don't have to tell us exactly how much you personally make, but can you give us an idea of how much you could make on a per video basis, on a monthly basis? Just hit everybody with those facts, because they hear me relaying that information. I've got about 10 mobile gaming clients, but I want them to hear it directly from you, because a lot of people think this sounds too good to be true. What is that sponsorship situation like? How much money is there to be made? And what does that really look like for you as a content creator? How do you navigate all of that business and financial element of being a creator?
Yeah, that's a great question. And for me, I monetize in multiple ways. I have YouTube monetization, I have sponsored content, and and you try and monetize, and I do casting, things like that as well. So all of that combined makes me be able to make a living and do what I need to do. But the sponsored content really, especially now, makes up about half of my earnings in the YouTube related world. So it's a pretty good amount. And ways that I used to do it in the past, before I was with an agency, because I'm with AMG right now, which is a talent agency who brings me deals regularly, and they take a percentage. I get deals coming in and offers coming into me, and I say, yes, I want it, or no, I don't. That's great for someone that has established a channel. But for someone that's new, who has never really, or is building a channel or something like that, that can't get inside of an agency yet, I always liked to put out content like that I could offer these companies. And then I would either reach out to them, tweet at them, or try and make my content visible to them and make them say, this may be someone that we may want to work with. And it's difficult though, when you're starting out and you're not represented, because these companies are big. The larger the companies, the harder it is to get in touch with them. And the smaller the companies, the less money they're willing to offer, or, maybe they won't offer you anything at all. So sponsored though is a massive opportunity once you can get your foot in the door to be able to be heard by people, or to actually, be able to be represented by an agency.
That makes sense. So I just want to go back to something you just said. So what you're saying is that you make content like the content that sponsors would want to pay for. You then tweet that content at them, and then you can work directly with them through Twitter DMs or through a direct contact to get a sponsorship deal. Is that right? Because I recall somebody on the show that said that works, and that's worked for you, huh?
I believe it was you that may have said that on the show, but yes, it's worked for me, and it doesn't work every time, you know, but what you're doing is you're creating something that you're proud of. You're doing it for a company that you wouldn't mind working with, and you're trying your best to put it at their doorstep, make sure that they can at least take a peek at it, and you hope that they do. And if you represent well, if your channel is something that you could be proud of, then hopefully, or maybe you can even have that conversation through DMs. Facebook is a good one too. You can get a little bit more in depth with them on Facebook, I've found. But yeah, the opportunities are there. It's just being able to be seen for those opportunities.
Ross, it looks like there's a question from chat here that's very relevant from Grugrux43. Can you read that for us?
Sure. If you're just starting out, should you also have multiple channels?
What do you think about that, Echo? When you're getting started, is multiple channels making sense, or do you still think it makes sense to do one these days? What are your thoughts, man?
Well, what's the difference between one channel and 2 or 3 channels, right? I mean, if you're going to create one video a day and it's going to be over 2 different games, what's the difference between uploading it here or uploading it there? I find that when you're trying to, and listen, on my main channel, I've covered many games, and I really think that over the years, it's shot me in the foot and it's made it difficult for my channel, because I'll gain subs for this game and then they see this game come out on the channel and I lose subs because they don't want to see that content. If you subscribe to a channel for something, you typically want that kind of content. And when you're handed something different, you could say, I don't want this in my feed. Let's unsubscribe and not be fed this information anymore. I think that 2 channels is not a bad idea, but it really depends on you, your work ethic, and if you're able to produce enough content. For me, I record between 2 and 5 videos per day that spread across 3 channels. And,
Jesus.
You know, well, yeah, but I have a team of people that I work with, people that help me do the editing. So you have to be able to produce. You have to be able to keep the channel filled with content. If you can't do enough content, then one channel is probably the way to go. And if you're brand new to YouTube and you're just starting out, you're going to want to start out with one to make sure that this is something that you're able to keep up, rather than spreading yourself too thin in the beginning. But after you get at it a while and you figure out what's going on, you could decide if you want to spread your wings a little bit more, open up another channel. But still, you have to find out on that first channel what content is going to stick. And I've heard the method where you just throw everything at a channel and you see what works and you start doing what works. That's probably the best idea if you're starting out with a new channel and you have a couple of games that you're considering covering. Make content for all of them, see which ones you could actually get people to watch, and then do more of that. And then if you want to consider doing more games, maybe you move to a second channel and you could start throwing a few games at that and do the same strategy. It's just, you don't want to burn yourself out before you even get started, because YouTube, although it looks like all the glitz and glamour and it's really like the best job, which it is amazing, there's a lot of stress behind it, especially when you're waiting and when you need that YouTube revenue and those sponsorships to pay the bills. It's a much different story than when you have a job and you're doing YouTube on the side for fun.
So how did you deal with burnout, especially just starting off? You're still having to work a full-time job. You're still having to put all this work into content creation. What was your secret?
I'm a machine. All right, I don't get burned out.
Great.
I mean, there are times where I'm tired, but when I started YouTube, I mean, I have kids, a wife. I was really going to the gym was important to me, and I worked full time. So really, my content creation time for 3.5 years was between 10 p.m. and 1 or 2 a.m. I did that every single day. If I wanted to put out videos, that was my time to make them, to edit them, and to put them out. So it was, how did I deal with burnout? I was just really motivated with my eye on the prize. I knew that that I could put out content good enough that was relevant enough at that time to build my Clash of Clans channel. I felt like I had what it took to be successful and to grow it into something. So it was just eye on the prize, my motivation to actually make it work. And I just have that kind of a personality where I don't want to see things fail. And I've said it before, being successful, we could put that in quotes, on YouTube it has been one of the more difficult things I've had to do. And I've been to college. I have a master's degree. Growing on YouTube was a heck of a lot harder than doing all of those things. And even then, having my career, because I was a teacher for 15 years, which I left education, I left the pension and all of that to be an internet personality, which I still wonder if that was the right choice every day.
Let's move on to
go ahead. Right choice. Perrin, can you think of the right choice for live streaming growth? The people that pay us money to do the ads on the show? Tell me about that.
The right choice for live streaming on the internet is Restream.io. They sponsor us because we were using them before we ever asked for a sponsorship or tried to do that, because they work. You can multi-stream to multiple platforms simultaneously: YouTube, DLive, Twitch, Facebook Gaming, all with one click of the button. It's really, really nice, and it's helped us grow as creators. It's helped the creators who watch this podcast grow as well. Link in the chat if you guys want to check out for a 30% off for your first couple of months.
Ross, I've been derailing this podcast. Bring it home for us. What are the final thoughts here to go over with Echo?
Well, one last thing I wanted to do before we kind of put the cap in the feather here is we've all talked about how mobile gaming is the future. Parents proving that, hey, well, you've been calling this for years now. All trends are pointing that way. And especially with major franchises like Diablo and inevitably others jumping into the mix, obviously that doesn't mean they're going to be successful. But how long before mobile gaming is completely top of the charts? I think, what do we see? 3 of the top 10 right now stream games are mobile. How long before that's 5? How long before that's 7? How long if it's 10?
I mean, I think it depends on the games that are coming out, and we do have some big games coming out, Diablo Immortal being one of them. We have League of Legends Wild Rift, and I saw you guys talking about that one yesterday, relevancy live streaming versus relevancy in YouTube content. I think that we're going to see a lot of these big publishers starting to take their franchises over to mobile, and the more that happens, the more relevant they're going to be in live streams and on YouTube. I mean, I, for one, have 3 YouTube channels, all focused on mobile. I cast for mobile. I think that mobile's the future. It's how I personally like to game. And listen, I played Call of Duty from the beginning on console. Loved the game. I love the history of Call of Duty. I play Call of Duty mobile now, and it's unbelievable to me still to this day, the experience I can have playing that game on my phone, how similar it is to what I had when I was playing it on console. There's really no limits anymore on what a mobile device can do. So if there's no limits, they can push the limits, they can make games better, and you could have different options for controls being touchpad. You can have Bluetooth controllers. You can use other services that can bring it onto your computer. There's really no reason why this platform, which is accessible to so many more people, is not going to just, continue to thrive. And I mean, it's already past PC, and I love PC. I love console, but the facts are there. More people play on mobile, and it's because it's more viable. It's more accessible to many more people, especially internationally.
I mean, obviously you hate PC, and we all know that. So, but let's talk about, there's the money that mobile gaming makes. Obviously, mobile gaming makes the majority of the money in the industry. That's why you can get great sponsors and the whole nine. We've talked about that a bunch of times. But there's a difference between the amount of money that the games make and then the popularity of the games for a content creator. And so when you are searching for games that are going to be popular from a content creator standpoint, not from just a money standpoint, because Candy Crush, for example, makes a whole lot of money, but it sure as hell isn't a game that you can actually cover as a content creator. How do you find the games that you think are going to be popular for a creator versus ones that just have lots of downloads, or ones that make a lot of money each month, or ones that are on the top of the app charts? Tell us about that research process, because you are a beast on research, and you're almost like a sociopath like us, where you look at this on your phone all the time like some kind of psycho. So tell us about what that process is like for you. And audience members, pay attention to this, because this is what people that succeed do. They obsess over the details. Hit us with it.
Yeah, and this is one of the downfalls, and this is actually kind of one of the dark sides of YouTube, because you're always looking for what's next. You are never sitting comfortable. If you want to be successful, you're never sitting comfortable. So 2 nights ago, for example, I was up until 3 a.m. and I was just in bed scrolling through the App Store, looking at what's popular, flipping it out, going on Google Trends, seeing if there's any search for it, seeing how relevant it is. So for example, a game like Brawl Stars, I have a channel on Brawl Stars. I think the content I put on it is good. The game is extremely popular. The problem is it's so oversaturated, just like you would say for someone that's trying to make content for Fortnite. You have to go niche within niche within niche to actually make that content be found. So when I look for content, it's really, or for a game to make content on, it's really changed what I look for. I'm looking for those games that aren't the biggest, most popular games. I want to get those games that are going to be popular enough that aren't being overcovered and that don't have a ton of creators, so that I can be one of the #1 creators for that, so that when you search the game, I'll pop up as a search result. And when you could do that, you can start becoming relevant, planting your feet. Now, I do think Diablo Immortal is going to be a big game. My strategy here was jumping in early. I'm here literally before anyone else. I've been creating content for a year while no one else was. So different strategy there. But as I look at my Brawl Stars channel, which is my third, and I realize, okay, it's not going to really do anything great with Brawl Stars. As I look for another game, I'm looking for what games are out there, what games are ranking well, and but don't have a lot of people making content for them, but I could give content to people that they'll need. Something that's not just a surface game like Candy Crush, which is a fun game, but you don't need guides for, you don't need any information on, you know, what games need content that aren't getting enough content. That's where I want to dive in and make a channel on that. And that's how you also can get in touch with development companies when they notice you making content that's getting traction for their game, and you've dove in and you kind of went headfirst into that commitment. It's another opportunity to work with sponsors, to grow on YouTube, and you know, just to have a relevant channel.
That totally makes sense. It looks like Ross is caught up fixing all of the world's problems. So I'm going to get us the hell out of here. Echo, thank you so much for coming on the show today and sharing your thoughts on Diablo Immortal and the viability of the game. It sounds like you're fully committed, you're all in on Diablo Immortal, and you're really hoping that it's going to be a big success, and you're just running that hype train strategy. So where can people find you if they want to watch you do this strategy in real time?
Yeah, you could find me over on Echo Gaming Diablo, at Echo Through Me over on Twitter. I go live all the time over on Twitch, but really, Echo Gaming Diablo, you can get all the details from me if you're interested in the Diablo Immortal stuff. I try and put a video out every day for you guys, as long as I have something to talk about.
Perfect. Ross, get us the hell out of here, buddy. You're back.
I am back, and thank you for coming on. Listen to what he had to say. Take the advice from Echo as someone who's started from the beginning as a content creator on YouTube while still working a full-time job and having a family. The path that he took is the right one. Burnout is inevitable, but you have to become a machine. Keep your eye on the prize, and we will be back and see you tomorrow.